Hi, I'm Heather Victoria and welcome back to my crime and policing channel. I am really excited about today's video. So one of you has asked me to do more about crime and history. Yes, they're my favourite things. I love crime, I love history. Putting those two things together is an ideal way for me to spend a rainy afternoon. And I get loads of those in England, so thanks. Keep the suggestions coming in. Do let me know what you want me to cover because I'm more than happy to do videos for you guys. Got loads coming up as well in the pipeline. We are back, we are cooking on gas. Now today's case is massive. It's such a famous case. If you've ever studied criminology and looked at forensic psychology in relation to children who kill, you will have looked at this case. I would like you to apply your criminological and forensic psychology mindsets to this case and pop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let's have a good chat. We're talking about Robert Coombes. Now, at 13 years old, Robert Coombes killed his mother. Wow, it was premeditated, it was brutal, and it was very interesting. We're going to look at all the different circumstances surrounding this. We're going to look at the person, we're going to look at the crime, and we're going to look at the process after. So we're going to look at the criminal justice system surrounding this case. We're also going to look at what happened next, which I think is truly fascinating. All right, so born in 1882 to mum Emily and dad also known as Robert, looks like his name. He had a difficult birth. So when he was born, they used forceps, which is not unusual in today's society. However, remembering Victorian hospitals were not very nice. It wasn't like now. I mean, hospitals are great now, aren't they? But back in Victorian times, they were grim. I mean, it's Victorian Britain, it was grim anyway. Imagine the hospitals, right? I'm surprised she survived. And survived, he wasn't decapitated. When they pulled him out, it got permanent forceps marks here, the side of his head, because that's the pressure they used to get him out. So it was quite a difficult birth. At 3 years old, he suffered with really severe migraines, really bad headaches, and it was later prescribed potassium bromide, which is a sedative. And the prolonged usage of this can cause really bad symptoms. So something called bromism. And it can cause a multitude of different things, including apathy, do not give a monkeys. It can include memory loss, and it can include mental ill health as well. It can really affect your mental health, this prolonged usage of this drug. Think about that one for our forensic psychology and criminology, okay? So 3 years old, massive headaches, history of headaches, trauma to the head. He actually told his mum when he was born, don't beat this one, so don't beat your child because of his head injuries. Is that what they normally say when you have a child? Don't beat this one, you might hurt it. I mean, surely that's just standard, right? Do not beat your kids. But hey, Victorian Britain, anything goes, right? So don't beat this child because he's got a head injury. We know that. We know that he's got headaches. We know that he's been prescribed some pretty nasty stuff, some sedatives to help with his headaches. Okay. Now, he's got a younger brother as well. So Nathaniel was a year younger than Robert. They moved to Liverpool for a while. So like I said, his dad worked on the ships, and Liverpool and London are really big ports for like trade and stuff like that back in these days, still are. So there he is in Liverpool. However, they come back to London in 1888, around the time where something massive was happening in the criminological world. And that is the Whitechapel murders, also known as Jack the Ripper murders. Wow, huge, right? And that was all over the newspapers and the penny dreadfuls, which are like your rag mags. And he was obsessed with them. 6-year-old boy, Robert, was obsessed with Jack the Ripper and the murders and reading these penny dreadfuls. And his parents let him. What? You let your 6-year-old read that? There's no wonder this boy has these thoughts, but we'll get into more detail about this later. But just remembering, 6 years old, obsessed, fascinated with Jack the Ripper. We know this, okay? That is fact. His dad's never really at home because he's always working on the ships, which is standard back then. So that's another thing to consider as well. He's with his mum, who doctors described as hysterical and anxious. But I mean, they said about a lot of women back then just for breathing. So who knows what that meant, right? Hysterical and anxious mother. She did beat his younger brother. We know that from the court documents. And yeah, him and his brother were living in London, and he was obsessed with Jack the Ripper. They went to school. The teachers said he was exceptionally intelligent, really clever kid. Wagged it all the time. So in the north, Wagging it means you're skipping school. Used to wag it all the time, so he was truant. Caused a lot of trouble. He and his brother were known to be troublemakers, prolific troublemakers in the area. Naughty, but clever, and obsessed with death. Nothing about that is, well, it's quite bad, isn't it? I'm just trying to think, nothing's that abnormal. The obsessed with death at 6 years old is pretty bad. His mum just letting him wag it off school is also pretty bad, to be fair. Troublemaking, yeah, pretty bad. Low level antisocial behaviour stuff with his brother. Now, he did go to school until the age of 11 when he left, which was standard back in those days. Left school and went and got a little job on the docks. There you go. Nothing to report here, right? However, when he was around that age, so 11, 12, he would take himself to watch a murder trial, another one. So we know he's obsessed with Jack the Ripper. We know that. And now he's obsessed with another serial killer. Excellent. James Canham Reed. And he would make a really complicated journey to this trial all the time, every day, to watch how it went on. Reed was tried, found guilty and hung, by the way. But this young boy had made all this effort to really obsess over this case, which he did. Oh dear. So we know we've got a pattern now, this obsession with serial killers, with murders, graphic, mutilated murders as well. In 1895, things took even worse turn for the family. Couldn't be any worse, to be fair. So Robert Sr. goes off to work as usual, and that night, Nathaniel's beaten by Emily. So to such an extent that Nathaniel tells Robert, "I want her dead." It just so happens that Robert had bought a knife a few days before. Just bought a knife. Hid it as well, so he hid it under a bin lid. Then he hid it in a chimney in the house, a disused one. So just happened to go and buy a massive knife, right? And then a couple of days later, his brother says, "I ate her. I wish she would die. I want to kill her." Robert goes, "Cool, I'm your guy. Leave it with me, bro, or I will sort this out for you right away." Nathaniel's like, "Right, I just think she's a bitch, I hate her." Anyway, bedtime. He goes to bed. Robert goes to bed in the same bed as his mum, by the way. Weird. And then at 3:45 in the morning, he smacks her on the head with a truncheon, so bludgeons her, stabs her in the heart twice, then falls back asleep. So bludgeons his mum, stab, stab, sleep. Now between 8 and 9 in the morning, he goes and wakes his brother up. "Hey, Nathaniel, guess what?" "What? Did it? What? I killed mum." "No." "Yeah." "What?" "I killed my mum. I killed our mum." "What?" "All right, let's have a look." So they go and have a look. She's still groaning, still alive. Oh, shoot. They cover her back up with a sheet, as you do, just pretend it never happened, and off they go. They just leave her there to die. Before they left, they did steal some money out of her purse, though. They didn't go and get help or anything like that. They just took some money and went about business. Now, this is where the calculated side comes out of Robert. They go and sort the rent out of the house by talking to a neighbour. "Oh, my mum's gone away. Please, can you go and sort the rent out?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, cool." Goes and sorts the rent out. They use the rest of the money that they stole to go to the cricket. "Let's go watch the cricket." Cool. And then Robert's like, "Yeah, what can I do next?" He covers his mum in quicklime to control the decay of a body. That's very calculated, isn't it? How would you know to do that at such a young age? So at this time, by the way, he's 13. He's murdered his mum, covered her in quicklime to control the decay, stole the money, paid the rent, and then he goes, "Right, we need a grown-up here. We're going to need some help. Who can we get to do all of our jobs for us without asking any questions? I need someone really vulnerable. I know the guy, John Fox, 39-year-old, limited mental capacity. Perfect." So they go and chat up John Fox, his dad's friend on the docks, known for having limited mental capacity and severe PTSD by the sounds of it, because he was on a ship that set on fire once, won't go in the water anymore, so works on the docks. They go find John Fox and they convince him to look after him. "My mum's in Liverpool, will you please help us?" "All right, yeah." So they get him to pawn all their family stuff, so watches, other valuable things in the house to get money. However, the money does run out, doesn't it? It never lasts forever. And then they ask their father's employer for an advance on their father's wages. "We've run out of money. My mum's asked if we can come and get an advance, please, in his wages." This man ain't no fool. And he's like, "I can smell a rat and it stinks," right? It's like, "Okay, yeah, no problem. However, I want to give it to your mum. I'll pay it directly to your mum if she needs some help. No worries, boys. Yep, I will sort that for you right away. Oh dear. Can't sort out your mum, can you? She's dead. Things get even worse then, so damn it, we can't get money from there. Where can I get money from? And if the neighbours by this point are getting a bit sus, they've not seen Emily for a long time. Seen two lads running about having a whale of a time though. Where is she? They contact the other Emily, which is Emily's sister-in-law, Robert's sister. And she comes round, knock knock. Where's your mum? Oh, she's in Liverpool. Yeah, she's not here, sorry. Right, knock knock knock. Who is this guy? John Fox answers the door. Oh yeah, she's in Liverpool. She's not convinced, is she? Third time, knock knock knock, in she goes. Where is my sister-in-law? Don't know. What is that smell? Manure? Why are the flies everywhere? Hygiene? Victorian Britain? Nothing's adding up, is it, boys? She goes to bedroom, can't open it. Knock knock, flies, smell. Where is she? Get the landlord to open the door. Oh, there she is. She's been there for 10 days almost. In the height of summer in Victorian Britain. This is a very decomposed scene you're walking into right now. So from a scientific perspective, we know what happens. If you've watched my forensic entomology videos, where we've talked about bugs and things like that, we know when people die, what happens to their bodies and they decompose. That happened to this body. The knife was still there. The scene was exactly as it was when she died. Oh dear. Jail time for you boys. Nathaniel and John Fox ended up getting away with it, despite the, handling of stolen goods that John Fox was doing, despite the assistance with the body and knowledge of the body as well from Nathaniel. They both get away with it. Robert does not. Now, Robert was sent to prison. He was in Holloway prison, which is not a very nice place. I mean, not very many prisons were nice back then. In fact, none of the prisons were very nice back then. Sent to Holloway prison, put in a padded cell for his own safety, and he was assessed by a doctor. During this time, the doctor noticed that his eyes were like everywhere. He seemed like manic. He also noticed that he had no remorse for his mum's death. He didn't seem to give two hoots about his mum dying. He said, the voices in my head told me to kill her. And I had this desire, I had to do it, insatiable desire to murder her. Right, okay, son. Sounds like you did it then. He noticed, like I mentioned, his eyes were all over. He noticed the voices in his head. He took note of the fact of the headaches, of the medication, of the indents in the side of his head. And he thought, I don't think this lad's got mental capacity. I don't think he is evil. I think he's insane. And when it went to trial, that's what they suggested to the courts. We want you to try this boy looking at his mental well-being. We don't think he has the capacity to do these crimes or to know what he's doing. We think he's insane, basically, is what the line they were saying was. And the mitigating circumstances were the injury to the head, the bromide solution, the injury to the head, and this voices, the erratic eyes. He was also proper excited about going to court. Now, bearing in mind, this boy took himself to go and watch the Reed case. He's obsessed with Jack the Ripper. He's obsessed with this thing about being in court. Probably buzzed off the fact he got his own word as well. So he's not Jack the Ripper. He's not the Southend murderer. He is the Plaistow Horror. The newspapers call him that. Probably made him think, yes, I finally got into those Penny Dreadfuls. I'm a star, baby. There he is in court. They find him guilty. Some other weird facts about this case is that he didn't give two hoots about his mum dying, but he did miss his cats and cried about that. And his mandolin. So he cried about that stuff, the material stuff. He didn't give two monkeys about his mum being murdered or the fact that he'd done it. Wasn't bothered that he was going to get hung either. Wrote a letter to his neighbour about it. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to get the death penalty. However, I hope I get a nice breakfast. What? So already you're thinking a rational person would not make these decisions. So we're looking at our criminological theories now. Is this a rational choice that he's done? So have a think about these criminological theories. Pop it in the chat below. Let me know if you think this is an irrational choice or something totally different. So yeah, he's found guilty. They decide he's a homicidal maniac with lucid periods. So that means at some points he's all right. Most of the time he is not. And the fact that he's being used to reading this pernicious literature has damaged his mind further. They think the fact he's been reading these Petty Dreadful since he was 6 has made him more susceptible to think that's normal. Because he's been part of his upbringing, his understanding, his education is Jack the Ripper. So this is something we can consider as well. Do we think having this literature as being like a standard newspaper maybe, has this influenced this young boy to think that's what we do with people we do not like? So he ends up in Broadmoor for an indefinite period of time because he's insane. And there he stays for 17 years and is released at the age of 30. And he's a changed man. And this is what I feel is the most interesting part of this case. Not only does he not commit any more crimes, so it doesn't go on to be another a murderer or anything like that. He goes on to be a war hero. He emigrated to Australia, and there he served 2 world wars and became a war hero, adopted a son, had a great life by all accounts, never married, but he had a good life, he did some great things for Australia, and that is the end of his story. Wow. So let's just recap all of this stuff, because there's quite a lot to unpack there. So we know he had a difficult birth. We know he's on this potassium bromide, which can cause bromism and affect your mental health. We know this. We know that his mum is classed as hysterical and anxious, but what does that mean in Victorian Britain? We know that he wags school a lot, it's true from school. We know that there's domestic abuse in the household, because we know that from court documents. She beat the son. We know that the doctors have said he can't be hit on the head because of his injuries. He's had permanent headaches since he was 3. So all this stuff's happening. We know he's exceptionally clever, obsessed with death, obsessed with serial killers and the mutilation of people. So much so that he go out of his way to go and have a look at it. We know that he premeditated this murder. He bought the knife 3 days before. We know that he hid it. We know that he intended to kill his mum because the voices in his head told him to. We know that when his brother said, yep, green flag, time to go, he did it. And then slept next to her body. And then covered it up. Very calculatedly selling the family's stuff, using quicklime on her body. We know that he did all of these things, this young man, at such an early age. However, all this stuff happens. He goes to Broadmoor, the Institute for the Criminally Insane, comes out 17 years later, a changed person, war hero. It's the craziest story I think I've read in a long time. I would love to know what you think about it. I want you to think about your different criminological theories. I want you to think whether or not he did have, was it something that he'd been conditioned into? Was this introduction to this type of literature damaging to this young boy's mind? Was the lifestyle at home damaging to this young boy? How was he treated? Was the fact that he went and obsessed with these murder things and he wasn't stopped part of the problem? Have a think, let me know in the comments. I would love to know what you guys think. I think it's a fascinating case, and that's it from me today. Stay safe, look after yourselves, look after each other, and most of all, don't commit any crimes.